Yeah, yeah. Some people call me Nothy. It's a little bit easier, but generally Nothy. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, so this evening, yeah, we've got an AMA. Just a minute, wait a minute.
No problem.
Yeah, this evening we've got an AMA with Napanji from BankerDoge. So, yeah, if you want to tell us a bit about the tokenomics, the team, and the project, that'll be awesome. And we'll
Sure.
ask sort of questions as we go along, and yeah, you can take it away.
Okay. I will do like a little general introduction, and then I won't go too in depth with anything because I figure we'll probably get into the details as time goes on. So, but to begin with, my name is Nathaji. I am the CEO of the Altruism Protocol, which is the company behind BankerDoge and also behind UltraCoin, our previous project, which is up and running and doing well. And so, essentially, we are launching the token related to the BankerDoge project here on Monday. Our DX sale will be happening. And to give you an idea of what the project is, essentially, the BankerDoge project is a DeFi as a service platform where we are trying to add DeFi features to other existing BSC tokens. So, what does that mean? Essentially, at the moment, what we can do and what we are doing is creating staking vaults that have time locking and other features for other tokens while still supporting their unique tokenomics. A perfect example of that is our partner Tiki. They wanted a vault that was built to certain specifications, but also maintained the functionality of their token, which was receiving reflections and BNB redistributions, and wanting basically everything to work in accordance with that. So we built them a staking vault for their token. It's up and running right now. We have a few other vaults up and running before our launch, and yeah, overall, I believe that. Around our peak recently, we had around $2.6 million staked in the platform, and all of that was before the token launch. So we wanted to take some time and build something so that we could show people that what we're trying to do, we are actually capable of doing. And so we have an existing vault, we have an existing governance system that takes a snapshot of the blockchain for voting and other various features. So that I think will give you a general idea of the project. There's a lot more details to it, but we can get to those a little bit later. As far as the token itself goes, the BankerDoge token is known as the Banker token, and it has some pretty cutting edge tokenomics. I usually like to cover it in two sections, what is internal and what is external. So as far as internal tokenomics go, the token has a lot of cutting edge features that you probably have seen from some other projects. Things like, token reflection, different buy and sell fee. So there's a 12% buy fee, 18% sell fee. There is auto buyback and burn, which is done dynamically and it's built into the smart contract. And then we have the team fees, which are sent to multi-signature protocol wallets because we keep all of our funds under multi-signature wallets for safety purposes, obviously. So that's a very brief overview of the internal tokenomics. I believe most people are generally familiar with those. But what is unique to our token, which is something that no one else has, is we have what we like to call externally boosted tokenomics. What that means essentially is that our platform is designed in such a way to support the demand, the price, and the APY essentially of the Banker token. The way that happens is as we build these staking vaults, all of their users are required to support the Banker token in one of two ways. The developers can select which of these two they want their vault to use. But the first way that they do that is through a vault participation fee. So when someone wants to enter or exit the vault, they would essentially pay a small fee in the token that they're staking, which would be maybe 1% in and 1% out. That 1% then, and part of it is taken and used to purchase Banker token from the market, which increases the price. And then those tokens are airdropped into the Banker token staking vault. And that boosts the APY of our staking vault for our own token. So every single partner that we partner with will either have to use that mechanism, or the second mechanism that they can use is they can be required to actually hold some Banker token when they're entering and exiting the vault. That would mean that all of their users would then have to purchase a small amount of Banker, which will increase our holder numbers, increase demand, obviously, and which would ultimately boost the price of the token. So those are what we call our externally boosted tokenomics. And every single time we partner with an additional token, it's what I would consider to be a permanent increase to the demand and the price of the token. So ultimately, we're aiming to partner with larger and larger projects. But we are already partnered with some pretty decent ones up until this point. And I think that we have two more that are being announced. For anybody who doesn't know, I think just yesterday we announced we're partnering with MagSwap, which is a new token that's just launching. And later today, I think we'll be announcing another partner, which is a much more established one that has over 1 million market cap and things like that.
Oh, awesome. So I was looking through the white paper and I noticed Altru coins linked with your project. Is that like a sister coin to BankerDoge? It was released, I think, on the 2nd of June.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that it's not something you generally see most projects do. A lot of teams will have a first or second project that they abandon early on and just move on to something else. We really wanted to make it clear to everybody that UltraCoin is not our old project that we're getting rid of. The two projects actually work hand in hand with each other. Ultimately, what we aim to create is a DeFi lending platform, and essentially what that'll be is the way that these two projects will work together is the BankerDoge project will be the staking side of things. So people will stake their tokens and time lock them. All of those tokens that are time locked will then be connected to the UltraCoin platform, which will be a DeFi lending platform. And over there, those tokens will be lent out to users. And when users pay back those loans plus interest, that interest will go into the vault, increasing the APY for all the staking users. So that's the long-term vision. As of right now, UltraCoin actually released first, but the DeFi lending aspects are much harder to build, I would say. So it just requires a lot more security testing and a lot more planning, especially if we're going to support so many different types of tokenomics. It's something we need to do very carefully. But in the long term, that's what we want to do, have UltraCoin be the DeFi lending platform, BankerDoge be the staking platform, and the two of them would work together.
Nice. So, you've got 6,400 members at BankerDoge. Did some come from the original projects that are invested in both projects now?
Exactly, yes. A lot of our original members, to be honest, our Telegram was actually quite small until very recently when we partnered with our marketing company. They've done an incredible job of expanding it in a very short period of time. But the initial audience that we had for BankerDoge, which are the ones that maybe participated in our very first pre-sale, were people that just knew about the project through UltraCoin, because we had some holders of UltraCoin that basically, wanted to also support BankerDoge. Tiki token, I know for a fact that we've basically share a huge audience with Tiki. A lot of their members are great. They're excellent. They're an amazing community. And a lot of them are also holders now of UltraCoin and investors in BankerDoge. So, and then last but not least, we recently partnered with WCT, and so some of their audience is also part of our audience.
Oh, awesome. Tiki, I remember, is one of the very early reward tokens, on the BSC scam. Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah. And essentially moving forward, what we anticipate is every time that we partner with a project, we will share a small part of their audience. We don't want to force their audiences to, have to invest in BankerDoge, which is why we have that second option for entering and exiting the vault, where they just pay a small fee. They don't ever have to hold Banker token or anything like that. But what we have found so far is that when people find out about the platform, and they're finding out through these partnerships, they usually do want to invest. They want to invest in the overall platform because they believe in the long-term vision of what this can become.
Awesome. Yeah. Can you tell us a bit more about the how the vault system will work?
For sure. So we do build our vaults a little bit custom, based off of it. I'd actually say all the vaults that we have right now are different from each other. So we build different features based off of what the developers want. But the overall idea is this. We basically wanted to make it a no-brainer situation where staking only gives you additional rewards. You get all your normal reflections and all your normal rewards. You get to participate in all the tokens' normal features. Plus, you get added rewards that are given to you in exchange for time locking your tokens. So what is time locking? Time locking essentially is when you stake, you have the option, depending on the vault configuration, to either stake them in an unlocked manner, where you can remove them at any time with no penalty or anything like that, or you can lock your tokens. Let's say you could select any day amount between like 0 for the Tiki vault. Let's say for between 15 and 180 days. You can choose to lock the token for any day amount between those two numbers. And when you do that, essentially what you are doing is you're basically saying, I'm going to stake these tokens. I believe in the long-term vision of the project, so I'm going to leave them in here for a certain amount of time. And in exchange for that, the vault system actually will reward you a scaling percentage. So I believe for the UltraCoin vault, at the maximum time, you get an additional 5% bonus. And that bonus actually goes in with your tokens right at the start, and it will compound with your tokens for the entire time that you're staked. So that's just giving a little bit of an idea on how the time locking works. For anybody that's not familiar, with staking in general, it's just this system or systems in place where you will hand over your tokens in exchange for some rewards, an APY or something of that nature, where your token value will accumulate over time.
Nice, yeah, and I checked the website out, and I know it's 4 of your team had doxed and done a video chat. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we require that the all the core team members, so these are any of the people that are interacting with the multi-signature wallets, or are the heads of various teams in the project. We require that they're doxed. The rest of our employees, we don't necessarily require. We ask them if they would like to be included on the website, or if they, in addition to that, would like their picture included in the website, but they don't need to make a dox video. Only the core team, we're requiring that they do it. So all of our team has been doxed since the UltraCoin launch. A lot of our community is very familiar with us because we do weekly AMAs, and they're generally on video as well. So they know who we are. We've been around for a while, and we definitely wanted to demonstrate to people that we are a real company with real people behind it. We're based in the United States. We have a registered LLC that is existing. So we're not one of these no-name teams out here that could disappear overnight. We wanted people to understand that we're a legitimate organization. Yeah. And this is my full-time job as well. This is what I do full-time.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. So you've shown with UltraCoin, it's been out since June, so you've been around for a long time, yeah. And then you're expanding the company, so that gives people confidence in buying into the pre-sale on BankerDoge. So that's great, yeah.
For sure. And quickly touching back on how the vaults work. A question we usually frequently get is, where do the rewards come from? When you enter and exit the vault, before that, actually, the rewards come from various sources. We essentially want the vaults to receive rewards from a variety of avenues so that the APY can be supported, even if one of those avenues isn't as strong in that exact moment. So at the moment, most of the vaults function on a system where users pay an entry and exit fee, and a majority of the entry and exit fee go directly into the rewards for the vault. So that's rewarding people who are already staked. This system essentially rewards people who decide to stake their tokens for a long time and remain in the vault, because they keep getting those entry and exit fees from other users. And we're basically trying to reward our long-term users that are really invested in the project. So that's the first place that the rewards come from. After that, the developers always have the opportunity to have an admin dashboard that essentially allows them to airdrop into the vault. And so they can airdrop tokens to all of their staking users, and their locked users actually will get a bonus in that airdrop based off of the amount of time that they locked for. So that's the second avenue where rewards can come from. Separately from that, obviously many tokens have reflection. You get your normal token reflection rewards. In the case of Tiki, you also get your BNB rewards. All of that will go to the vault. You'll be able to claim it normally. And in addition to that, in the future, obviously we want the interest that is paid back in the DeFi lending space, right, from the UltraCoin project to additionally boost the APY. So that's kind of like the idea of our current vaults. All of these are time locking vaults, or what we call them. But we actually have additional plans that create other types of vaults as well. Some that are a little bit more fun, maybe like lottery themed or NFT themed in the future.
Yeah, awesome. And so from the buys, you'll get 2% reflections in BankerDoge, and from the sells, you'll get 8%. It says in the white paper, isn't it?
Yep, and you'll get all of that even if you're staking your token. So that I think, and if you're time locking, you actually get more. So yes,
and it's linking into a multi sort of chain of tokens. Yeah, so that's awesome. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I personally believe that over time, the BankerDoge token price will have a pretty high price floor, and that'll essentially be supported by all of our partners. At some point, if a variety of projects, each with thousands and thousands of users, all need to, either hold the BankerDoge token or are paying a fee that supports the price, it should create a very solid price floor for the Banker token that would be very difficult for it to dip beneath. And then in addition to that, in these vaults, especially in our premium partner vaults right now, we usually have around 30% of the total supply staked and potentially even time locked in the vaults. All of that supply is kept outside of the supply and demand equation. So there's far less supply than you would normally see. That makes it so that it's much easier to see positive price movements. And it also makes it much more resistant to negative price movements.
Okay, and will there be a maximum wallet size on BankerDoge, or?
Will there be a maximum wallet size? I believe at
Yeah.
launch, we probably have some mechanisms in place for that. After the launch has happened, we will probably increase that substantially because we found that generally speaking, it's something you really only need to be concerned about right at the moment of launch because, there might be some sniper bots that try to do something insane. Whereas like with Ultracoin, I don't think it's even a concern for us anymore. I don't know if the fee is extreme or if the max wallet size is particularly small or it could even be, it might not even be anything at all. Maybe you can hold the total supply if you want to. So I think that ultimately we will have some limitations at launch just because, we've monitored so many projects and we've seen that certain bots can really damage or even destroy their project at launch. So we're taking steps to prevent that. But in the long run, we really don't mind if someone is truly invested in the idea of the project in the long term and they want to hold a lot of tokens. I say power to them.
Yeah, so you've got the Diamond Hand rewards feature for BankerDoge where you lock in your bonuses and the vault fees will reward long-term holders as well.
Exactly. Yeah. So if someone wants to do that with a very large amount of the total supply, I personally don't want to stop them. I think that this project is an incredible investment. I myself am personally heavily invested in it already, and of course will continue to invest in the future. And that's not just my time, my own personal money as well. So I think that and that kind of bridges into another point that some people might be concerned about. The team, the overall team, no member of the team is receiving any tokens from this project ahead of time or anything of that nature. We didn't just mint some for us or anything. Every member of the team, if they wanted tokens, we basically told them, hey, if you want tokens, you have to buy them like everybody else. So our members are invested in the project with their own money. It's not just that we're getting free tokens and we can cash out whenever. This is an investment for us as well.
Okay, and what sort of time frame will the locking the bonuses be? Will it be like a monthly thing or yearly or?
So essentially, the way the time locking works is, let's say, just looking at the Ultracoin Vault, for example, it has a between 0 and 90-day lock window. You can choose any amount of time within there. If you lock for 90 days, you'll get a 5% bonus on entry. And that 5% actually just goes in with your tokens right off the bat. So the amount of tokens you have staked, so to speak, increases by 5%. And your pool share is what determines the percentage of the future rewards that you get. So if we do airdrops into there, the amount that you're getting from those airdrops is going to be increased by a percentage based off of your lock time as well. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Oh, right. Yeah. So even while your tokens are locked, you'll still get reflections off that from an airdrop in the future. Is that how it works?
Exactly. Yeah. So that's essentially the overall idea of how it works. If you locked for half that time, let's say 45 days, you would get 2.5% bonus. So it's scaling all the way up. And that bonus happens right as you enter. So all the rewards you get right after you enter are based off of your increased pool share from your bonus from locking time. So your reflections will actually be increased. The amount of the airdrops you get will actually be increased. We basically wanted the system to be extremely beneficial for long-term holders, and to be honest, somewhat punishing for people that are looking for like a pump and dump type things. If your intention is to enter the vault and exit the vault very quickly, it probably will not be lucrative. These are systems that are designed to be very, very profitable for people who are willing to just stick their tokens in there and honestly forget about them. I think that for Ultracoin, our previous project, because our staking vault for Ultracoin has been running for months now, the people who have made the most money off of it so far are the ones that just put their tokens in at the start and just haven't looked at them.
Yeah, that's it. You've got a higher sell tax than a buy tax, so that rewards the long-term holders as well. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, and that boosts the APY of the vaults as well. All of those reflections are going to be going right in there. So our staking systems are something that we're very, very proud of. We have intentions of upgrading them and adding additional features to them in the future. It's not something that is in its final form, I would say. I think that there's a lot more that can be added to this, many new features and things of that nature. And really, as we partner with innovative projects, we usually kind of build features just for them, and then maybe some of those features we'll want to add to other vaults.
Yeah, the 8% sell feature where you get reflections in BankerDoge is very nice. Yeah, rewarding, like you say, long-term holders. Yeah, definitely.
For sure, absolutely. Yeah. In the future, I really would like to build some vaults that are related to NFTs and things of that nature. We see some groups now that might be interested in partnering with us that work in that manner. but that's future stuff. Someone was asking a question.
Yeah, I mean, it's great that you guys seem to really focus on partnerships. I think that's awesome.
Yes.
I did want to ask you a question about your upcoming pre-sale. If you don't mind talking about that, I don't believe it's whitelisted, but what's the hard cap, soft cap, in the process at which you'll be rolling out the pre-sale?
For sure. So our pre-sales are already well underway. The way I would describe it is we're actually in the final leg, I would say, of our pre-sales because we already ran 3 smaller pre-sales ahead of time. We actually built a pre-sale system into our vaults. So if you go to app.bankerdoge.com, on the left side, there's like token pre-sales. You can see our existing pre-sales. So we built our entire own pre-sale system. And the reason we did this actually is because in the future, we're already partnering with many tokens. We're partnering with developers. We figured this would be something they might be interested in. Not everybody wants to go through DXL. DXL has some pretty hefty fees. And this system, actually, we created I'll say, I haven't seen this before, but Presale 2 and Presale 3 actually used a completely new system that we created. We wrote the smart contract completely for. We call it a time cap presale. It isn't the normal mechanisms that you would use for a presale. So instead of having a hard cap, Presale 2 and Presale 3 just worked on a system where the sale opened with a very limited amount of time. And then for every BNB that is deposited, or fraction of BNB, it would extend the timer by a small amount. So for Presale 2, the sale opened with just 10 minutes. And for every BNB, it would only go up by 10 seconds. And we kind of think this is like an interesting and innovative system that helps build a lot of buy pressure and a lot of hype. And ultimately, it let us surpass our target. Our target was 250 BNB. And that time we raised, we raised quite a bit more. So in Presale 2, we used a time cap system, and it worked so well that we decided to use it for Presale 3 as well. So Presale 2 raised 380, and then Presale 4 raised 480. So overall, we think that these are systems that other tokens are going to be interested in. So we built this whole system.
So am I correct to say that the last phase is on DXL?
Yes,
is that what I'm saying here?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
And you're looking, and it says 1750 BNB, 3500 BNB is a hard cap.
That's correct. Yeah.
And is there any whitelist spots, or is that strictly just public?
Public, yes. Just like our earlier pre-sales, just for reference, none of our pre-sales were private. None of them had whitelists up until this point. Anybody who knew about us could buy in, and we didn't really. The only restrictions we had were we didn't want the max contributions to be too high in the earlier pre-sales. So it's something we've kept an eye on. But overall, we like all of our stuff to be public. We like it to be fair. We don't want anybody, having like a extremely unfair advantage. The earlier pre-sales had like a slight discount compared to DX sale because we did want to encourage people to buy in early rather than just wait. But overall, we want it to be a really fair system.
Yeah, no, that seems fair. What expectations do you have for tomorrow's pre-sale, given the hard cap and soft cap?
Yeah, so I've monitored personally, being realistic with everybody here, I've monitored these sales before that have like a very high hard cap of about 2,000 BNB. They don't usually sell out instantly. I think they usually take maybe over 24 hours, maybe around 1 or 2 days to finish. So what we've been telling people is we anticipate the sale will be over by the 15th. You know what I mean? However, all of that being said, I didn't anticipate that the pre-sales would go so well. We didn't have that large of an audience when we were running these pre-sales. Like I said, our audience has been growing. Basically, we did this multi-phase pre-sale system so that we could grow our audience. A week or two ago, or maybe like a week and a half ago or something, we only had 400 people in the Telegram. The whole point of the first pre-sale was so we could hire the marketing company. Once we had the first pre-sale, we hired the marketing company, and then we had the second pre-sale, which did better. We paid them more money, so on and so forth. So essentially, that allowed us to grow our audience.
Great. A lot of people have been asking me about the pre-sale, so I'm going to obviously pass them to the DX link and let them know that it's absolutely not whitelisted, just so that I can pass over the information, so that's very crystal clear. Thank you.
Yes, it's a super common question that we have. So we actually recorded some videos on our YouTube channel. You can see I recorded videos answering questions like, why did we do so many pre-sales, and other common questions that we saw like that, just breaking down the reasoning behind those. And I'm sure that some of the questions we'll get later in this AMA. Those videos out there probably, or we put some videos out there as well to help people get that information. So, but overall, the whole point of the pre-sales was so that we can create a greater and greater audience so that we can do a large DX sale. And the purpose of the large DX sale, it's not without reason. The reason we want to do that is because overall, if we raise more money, we can accelerate our growth, which will allow us to partner with larger projects. At the moment, if I reach out to, somebody at Elongate or Saloon or something, they won't even respond. And it's understandable. We're an unlaunched project. We're an unlaunched token, I should say. The project is up and running. But you know what I mean? We want to see it's established. It has many partners. It has a certain market cap, and then they'll be interested. And we've had some people tell us that, all right, like we want to wait and see exactly how things look. So all of this allows us to accelerate the process. And another excellent example of that is just yesterday we paid for our first exchange listing for the Banker token, and that's something that you don't normally see. We had connections because of UltraCoin and because of our consulting firm. We have a crypto consulting firm we work with, and they helped us basically set up an exchange listing for our token before it's even launched with a large exchange. So it's something we're really proud of, but all of that would not have been possible without this multi-phase pre-sale system.
Yeah, because the question obviously was, why are you doing DX sale now when the other three were so successful on your own platform? But that essentially solves that problem. That was my next question.
If we did the DX sale right off the bat, I don't know if we would have even hit the hard cap, because like I said, our audience was so small, 400 people or so.
Yeah,
it would have been quite hard.
I don't really trust DX sale too much. I mean, listen, I do get the difficulties of hosting your own pre-sale on a website that's owned by you, but it's up to your team to get the trust across to them. And I think you've done a wonderful job at that. So now the DX sale, someone like me who's most likely going to be involved tomorrow, has no issues with the DX sale, given that you've had such success before. If something happens, then at least they know the team behind it is experienced enough to handle it properly.
For sure. Yeah, I think that's a very important thing to see. Like, this is not our first time, dealing with any of this. And not only that, we're partnered with people who are far more experienced with us. I believe our consulting firm has worked with over 150 crypto projects. So they really know what they're doing. Yeah, they are. Really? And that's all they do. They just work on consulting with crypto. So we were very excited to basically get on board with them, and they've helped us a lot already. But I agree with you. And to be honest, we set up this whole plan with the multi-phase pre-sales and the DXL and everything before we even started. We planned it all out, and the pre-sales have gone so well that at this point, if I could go back in time, I might have done things differently. Maybe we didn't need to go through DXL. Maybe we could have just done a launch with our own pre-sale system. But we had already created the DXL, already, launched the token all ahead of time. And so we're kind of following through with the initial plan. But like I said, each of the earlier pre-sales only wanted to raise $250 each. And, pre-sale 2 and pre-sale 3 shot way past that. So originally, I didn't anticipate that would go so well. I thought the DXL would be maybe quite challenging, but it's looking more and more like, things might sell out faster than we anticipated.
Yeah, it sounds like, because you've been so open and transparent for each pre-sale and everything, and it's all on the website, and you've maybe done the AMAs in the voice chat, have you, over at BankerDoge for the community? That's why it's doing so well, each pre-sale, It sounds a very, very good way to raise the money, and to grow the community before a launch, definitely.
For sure. I feel like this space in general, the BSC space specifically for crypto, is a little bit starved for very transparent projects that have a real use case. And so I am now seeing that when people find that, they are very quickly willing to invest quite a bit of money. But I think it's really because, there are so many scams out there. There are so many projects that are not transparent. We've garnered, I think, the pre-sale systems have just gone way more successfully than we originally anticipated. And so we're really excited for the DXL.
Awesome. So am I. And I think a lot of people listening are, or who I've been talking to at least.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and another thing too, thank you guys for having me here. You know what I mean? I think that, we are relatively unknown. And so it's nice when these larger groups and, more established investors are willing to come and speak with us and kind of interact with us and listen to what we have to say. So I appreciate you guys taking the time.
We appreciate you coming and giving us the chance to speak to you as well, because I'm sure there's lots of people who want to get their voice out. But these are the projects we like: honest, good working people. Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah, it looks a very large project as well. So it's great for us as a community to get involved and do an AMA. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't know if the team's finished asking questions. We could maybe open it up to investors if they've got any questions for Napadji.
For sure. And I'll also say, I think the way that you guys are hosting this AMA is very professional. We've done a couple other ones with a few other channels, and they've been a little hectic, to say the least. So I really appreciate, the format and the overall idea, and, each of your professionalism. And I'm more than happy to answer questions from anybody who has them.
Thanks. So has any investors got any questions to ask BankerDoge?
Sorry, I've just joined. You may have already covered this, but could you explain about future partnerships for the staking?
For sure. Is there a specific aspect of that you would like to know about? Overall, our plan is to partner with larger and larger projects in the same capacity that we are currently partnering with them. And then if even further along, we'd like to create even more unique partnerships. Like let's say we work with a game that generates NFTs, maybe we would make them a special kind of vault that allows people to stake and mint NFTs through their staking vault or something like that.
Yeah, how does it work? Because obviously with this staking, you get like an increased APR, I assume, from these partnerships. So do they give you like kind of X amount of tokens for your staking contract? Is that how it works?
Sure.
I noticed you've partnership with Tiki and some others. Tiki, I wouldn't say is a hugely successful token. So I'm curious why you've chosen that one.
For sure. So I'll answer those questions in separate parts, and then we'll do the Tiki part last. So overall, I think that the way that it works is the rewards come from various sources. You have the fees, the entry and exit fees of people entering and exiting the vault. You have the normal reflections or redistributions of different types. And we can even create vaults now that will add, let's say, BNB redistribution to tokens that don't have it. That's a functionality that we have now. So we have those mechanisms. In addition to that, the admins, whenever they want, we have an admin panel that will allow them to, when the normal rewards are distributed, to add additional rewards. So you were asking if they give us tokens. They don't give it to us directly, but they have a panel where they can essentially distribute it to the staking users of the vault. And that is just an additional type of reward you can get. And then, of course, in the long run, we want the basically the returns from loans, from lending, DeFi lending, to also boost it. So, and I believe there are other creative mechanisms out there. We've actually been talking with other developers, because things like LP farming are extremely simple to set up. And I don't really see a reason why we can't also boost, like you would have a single staking vault that, uses these variety of mechanisms to create additional APY. So those are things we're looking into moving forward. We don't really want to go into minting. I'm sure you've all seen a lot of yield aggregators that mint tokens, and many of them get hacked, and their minting mechanisms, implode essentially, or mint a bajillion of their token. So overall, I'd like to avoid minting. Our token doesn't do any minting. I believe that if you're creative and intelligent, you have a good team, you can create value even without having to consistently and constantly mint tokens. So anyway, getting into a tangent there. So overall, that's kind of where the rewards come from. Specifically with Tiki, I have heard, it's interesting, the Tiki community that is still there, a lot of them are very happy with the developers and happy to see what they're doing. I believe they are a team that they do a lot of innovation, they do a lot of partnerships, and I do know that they've had some issues in the past. I know some people, basically have spoken about, I believe they had a security flaw or issue in the past with like one of their internal members, and some of the liquidity or something along those lines got sucked out of their project. And that was way before we ever partnered with them or anything like that. But overall, it was a group that we vetted the current state of things, and we were kind of happy with what we were seeing. But as to why we actually partnered with them, the reason why is way before we announced to anybody that we were building staking vaults for other people. When we had just finished our staking vault for UltraCoin, which was the first one we created, they actually reached out to us. I don't even know how they found us. They reached out to us, and they asked at that time if we could build them a staking vault. And we told them, well, actually, we haven't told anybody this, but we're building a staking platform for other projects. And because you reached out to us first, and they were a much larger project, they are a much larger project than UltraCoin, which was the only existing thing at that time. We said like, hey, if you guys want to, you can be our first partner because you reached out to us so early, and you are like, substantially larger project than we are. We will basically, and if you work with us through the process, because I think creating the initial, beta for the platform and the initial vault for them and stuff like that required a lot of testing and a lot of, bumping into walls and things like that. So they were very like kind of understanding in the process and patient as well as we finalized their vault and created it for them. So I hope that gives you an idea of why we decided to go with them. We don't regret the partnership. They seem to, be doing fine. I think that, I think that overall in the crypto space, so my background is in cybersecurity, right? And I think that when it comes to software development, if you don't know about cybersecurity, information security, or anything like that, you really won't pay too much attention to it until something bad happens. But of course, what you want to do is actually be proactive rather than reactive, right? And I think that they just fell into a common pitfall that many software companies fall into, which is placing too much trust in their inside members. That's why we implement multi-signature wallets on all of our protocol wallets, because even though I trust the rest of the team, I'm also going to take the necessary precautions in case something goes wrong. So it's something that I, you know what I mean? At this point, I hope they have implemented, and I've learned from their mistakes. But yes, yeah. So those are my thoughts on Tiki at the moment and our overall partnership.
And just to explain, because maybe you've already explained this, but what is the benefit for Tiki? Is it exposure? Is that that's what you're giving them? You are essentially advertising them through your platform.
So I do think that they do get a level of exposure being our first project and everything like that, but I don't believe that's the primary value. They actually would like us to make a privately hosted vault for them, which will, it will appear on their platform, but it'll also appear on their website, which will allow users to go directly to their website. And I think that, that's something that they're interested in the future. It would still support the BankerDoge token and the BankerDoge platform in the same way. So I don't think that they're really looking for publicity through the platform. I believe that the primary thing that we're providing them is a use case and for their token, an additional use case, and the use case specifically that benefits their long-term holders and helps support their price floor and things of that nature. So overall, I believe that that's the value that we're providing for them. And that's kind of like what they are paying for, so to speak, in their fees that support our token.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and one other note, which I didn't touch on earlier, was that as far as early partnerships go, we are partnering with various projects, and we want to partner with larger and larger projects as we move forward. We don't want to eliminate the opportunity or option of partnering with something small that we believe has a lot of potential. But in the long run, what we want to do is decentralize our entire onboarding process, similar to DX sale. Anybody can come up and create a DX sale for their token. We want, in the long run, anybody to be able to come up and create a vault for their project, assuming that their code is compatible. And so that's definitely a longer term goal. But at that point in time, we will not, be vetting super closely all the projects that will be joining with us. But I believe it will create incredible value for the overall platform. Just like, the value of DX sale is probably in the billions because of how many tokens launch through their platform and the overall fees they pay.
Sure.
We essentially want to become, a decentralized system like that in the long run.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's really promising. Thank you.
For sure. Yeah. And thank you for the excellent question.
Thank you.
I got a question. For something that new idea in the market, why do you use Doge as part of your name, not come up with something unique as your first coin?
It's funny. I think we actually get asked this during every AMA, but I'll give you the legitimate answer, which is that the original name of the project was not BankerDoge. It was UltraVaults, which, like you were saying, is very similar to our original project. So UltraVaults was a much more serious theme. Let me send you a link that you can post to the chat if you want. You don't have to. But UltraVaults, essentially, if you look at it, this was the original theme for the project. The entire website was already created. The vaults were all themed in the UltraVaults theme, and this was what it was going to look like. This was what we originally created. And I'm going to be honest, I picked the original name, and I was the one who built this website, the ultravaults.com, if you look at it. And so I was very, infatuated with this theme. I'm very happy with it. I thought it was very professional and very, just, look classy and looks legitimate and things like that. However, when we did release this, the reception was not that good. It was not that good at all. And I think that that's just the state of the market overall. So we originally released this. We were very happy with it, but overall, it didn't gain as much traction as we would have liked. And when we ultimately partnered with an external marketing company that was very experienced, what we ended up finding was, or what they told us was like, hey, you can launch this project as UltraVaults and it will be successful. You'll be fine. However, at least for the launch, if you are branded as something that is more popular right now, like a Doge name or a baby name or something like that, you'll garner much more interest and probably raise more money. And so we wanted to keep it still professional, which is why we went with BankerDoge and chose the icon that has the suit on and everything like that, to kind of differentiate it a little bit from these projects that are, like baby something, baby cat or, just something random. But overall, yes, that's the reasoning behind why we did the rebrand. And being totally frank with you guys, I would not be surprised, because I don't think the Doge theme is going to be popular forever, or the baby theme, or any of these things. So I wouldn't be surprised if at some point we return to a more serious theme or we rebrand. As you guys probably can see from the website, ultravaults.com, This is a completely finished website, and it has pretty much all the same information that BankerDoge does. So behind the BankerDoge theme, there's this very real and serious project. And yeah, so maybe one day we will rebrand again. I would not really be surprised if it did happen. Yeah. But yeah, not too many people know about this. Only I think our original Ultra coin holders probably know about Ultra Vaults, the original name. But I think in the long run, to be honest, I don't think that the meme theme will be a hindrance. Because you can look at a very real project like PancakeSwap, and you'll see that like the fact that they're a silly theme does not hinder them at all. You know what I mean? They have over 4.5 or something billion dollars worth of market cap. The value of their platform overrides their theme completely. So another thing too is like these meme themes might actually open things up to a new audience, a different audience, and might because people might be scared off by a very serious project, and so maybe that's part of the reason why PancakeSwap has their meme name to make it user accessible to new people.
Yeah, people are more interested in the utilities you can bring to the BSC scan, so they won't actually worry about a name in the future. If you're knocking it out of the park, then people will be investing, and and you'll get more partnerships. Yeah, it'd be awesome.
For sure, yeah. But that is a super common question that we get. I know it's interesting. I think that there are a variety of investors that really love, meme themes, Doge themes, things like that. And then there's another set of investors that really are totally like and kind of understandably, they just think that most of those are scams, and most of them are scams. So I totally understand where they're coming from. So part of the reason, though, that we went with the rebrand and kind of agreed to it was that we felt like, okay, we can kind of catch the serious audience with the UltraCoin when we create the DeFi lending platform, which is something you want to be more serious anyway, because it's people are trusting you with their collateral money and things like that. So we can catch some of the serious audience with that, and then we can catch some of the audience that's more interested in like riskier investments and things like that with the BankerDoge token and BankerDoge project.
Thank you for that. I wonder, could I ask you about China? How big's your Chinese group, and what's your Chinese marketing strategy? Because most Doge-related coins are pumped by China and have Chinese investors who tend to be quite loyal. So what's your Chinese strategy?
For sure. So our firm, the consulting firm we're speaking with, basically we let them know like, hey, we want to tap into these audiences and list on this many exchanges in this amount of time. And they basically have put together a plan that's like, okay, if you want to do that, these are the steps that you need to take to do it. And this is the order of operations that you generally want to do things in. So we're essentially handing it off to them, and they're planning for overall how we want to tap into those audiences and kind of maintain them. Just for reference, we've had a lot of people specifically reach out to us about, do we have a Chinese, Telegram group and all of these other things. It isn't something that we've set up at this point, but it's something that we definitely plan to do moving forward. Yeah. So as far as how we want to tap into those audiences, I think that it really is going to be, doing initial legwork to set up the communities for them. So when they come, they basically have, an area they can speak, and moderators they can communicate with and ask questions about, and maybe even team members that can kind of explain the overall project in Chinese to this other audience. After that, what we are going to want to do is tap into the market by most likely, I would guess, going for exchanges that are popular in different parts of the world. We are actually in communication with a couple that garner a far larger audience in Asia than they do in the United States or any of the areas over here. So it'll most likely be through them to first break into the market, and then probably partnering with projects that are popular in those areas. Of course, I think that like I said, our community really blew up kind of overnight, so to speak. Not exactly overnight, but in a very short amount of time. So we're definitely still playing catch up with that, trying to build up our moderator audience or our moderator team, and community management team in general. Once we've stabilized in that regard, which will most likely be after the DX sale launch, I believe that we'll be much more suited to kind of taking on those additional challenges of not just the Asian markets, but many other markets as well.
Okay, thank you for that.
I believe we do have a couple moderators that already, are community managers that speak a few other languages. Our Discord specifically has a couple of areas for that. I believe, for French and Spanish. I believe that we are probably going to be getting Russian up soon. And then I believe that, after those will probably be a lot of the Asian markets. But really, we are trusting the consulting firm because they're far more experienced than we are with how to especially tap into those markets, because I personally have very little idea.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of experience of like working with Chinese investors, and that you do need to work with the leaders of Chinese investor groups to get big groups on board. They're working with investors between 400 to going up to 7,000, and the key thing is getting the leaders interested in your project. So simply listing on the exchange probably won't get you as much as it would be by getting in contact with these leaders, and you can do that through the platform BTOC. I personally know the leader of a couple of investment groups, and that's to be the best route for you to take is to try and engage on there, try and get some people on BTOC and try and actually pay some leaders to come on board. Usually there's a transaction involved, some kind of incentive. But yeah, that would be probably one of the things that you probably should be trying, because any Doge related coin is definitely pumped by China. That would be the main focus for this if I was involved in it.
I really appreciate that insight. Without giving up like too much away, the exchanges, some of the exchanges that we were talking about actually have social media campaigns on those platforms, and so that's probably a part of why they were recommending those. But getting in contact with like leaders of prominent groups and investing groups that if we can essentially convince them about our legitimacy and our long-term vision, that I think will be a very key element in basically tapping into those markets. I think that we in the future will definitely need like a point of contact or probably some level of leadership related to that whole initiative.
Yeah, it's really important to establish a strong leader in your Chinese community. They really value leadership. But I can tell you privately anyway, but I have quite a big understanding of the Chinese market.
I would appreciate that. Yeah, if you want to DM me, it's something I'm definitely interested in. At the moment, we probably can't focus too much on it because it's the launch is obviously our number one priority right now. But post-launch is something that is definitely important to the longevity of the project and the growth of the project. So it's important to us.
Yeah, of course.
Thank you so much.
Great. Awesome. Does anyone else have any questions? Any investors for BankerDoge?
While we find some more questions, I'm just going to take a look at the the stream, because I have been ignoring it and see if there are any questions that were left there. Someone was asking, when will the coin be launched? So the DX sale is on Monday. Once the DX sale is completed, we will probably launch 24 hours after that. During that 24-hour time, that's when we'll be taking our snapshot of the Ultracoin stickers for their airdrop and doing other preliminary work like getting the vault up and running ahead of time for the BankerDoge launch. And then also a couple of other things like preparing the pre-sale claiming system so that everybody can go and claim their tokens from the pre-sales they purchased into.
Sweet.
So another question here is the same team behind Tiki, Banker, and Ultracoin? No, but you probably have heard my voice in the Tiki AMAs. I've been in them before. I've kind of discussed with them. So if you're part of the Tiki community, that may be where you know me from. The BankerDoge project and the Ultracoin project are run by the same team, which is the Altruism Protocol, and that is the team that I am from.
I remember Whale back in the day bought $1 million in Tiki. Yeah,
quite a bit. Wow,
straight up. Yeah, in one hit. Yeah, well,
yeah, that's serious investment.
So anyone else got any questions for BankerDoge, or have you got any questions over on your Twitch?
Let me see also, because I have been also not reading the Telegram, so there may be a couple things posted in there. We did just have our normal AMA, because we usually do our normal AMA on Friday night, like 6 p.m. or it's not night for everybody, so Friday, 6 p.m. CST. So I think a lot of people got their questions answered there. I think it went on for quite a while, and that same day I think we had another 2-hour AMA. So I anticipate that hopefully most of the community, especially a lot of the new members, have already gotten their answers to their various questions.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, we'll put a link in the Telegram for anyone that afterwards, if they listen to the recording and need to ask any questions, you can pop over to your community of BankerDoge and ask away.
Sounds good. Yeah, awesome. And this will all be on YouTube as well for anybody that's watching the stream, or we'll of course be pinning messages about it. But I really do appreciate you guys taking the time to host this AMA, and speaking to me. And if anybody has any other questions, I'm more than happy to answer them either here or in future AMAs.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. Yeah. If you give us a link to the YouTube, yeah, we'll pin that here for you as well. Yeah.
Sounds good. Let's go ahead and do that.
So we have any more questions for the community here, or on to
I just wanted to ask about the pre-sale. Like, kind of, is there a risk of bots like going on DX sale? I know a few people have bots, and it's quite easy to do it. What precautions have you got about that?
For sure. So bots are definitely, in every project that's launching on DXL needs to be aware of them, and definitely be prepared for them. And most new people are not, it can cause a lot of problems for their project. We've built a lot of basically mechanisms into our code to help prevent things that bots would generally do that normal users wouldn't do, which would be things like making like 50 or 20 transactions in a second, or things like that. Things normal users are not going to do. So we have mechanisms in place to prevent bots from trying to snipe and purchase up at the exact moment of launch a massive amount of the coins, either in one go or over the course of many smaller ones. And then our community overall also voted for an increased sell fee at launch that would taper down over time. That's something that the team wasn't originally anticipating or planning to do, but the community actually was really I would say quite forceful with telling us that it's something that they wanted. So we plan to have a increased sell fee at launch. I believe that we originally were going to do, the team recommended 30%, but I believe most people voted for more than 30%. And so we're settling on what the final fee will be at the start. And then, each day it would decrease by a few percentage back down to the normal number. And overall, I'm not necessarily against it. I think that it's really something that will only negatively impact people that are planning on, purchasing and dumping immediately. So the users that we care about, which are the ones that are invested in the project in the long term, I think will be in good shape.
So for instance, my friend's got like a DXL bot and it has 100 different wallets. Mm-hmm. So he could go into your DXL and maybe get 50 wallets worth. There's nothing stopping him doing that. Is it not a whitelist on the DXL, because you can implement that feature?
Mm-hmm. So we were considering a whitelist. We are still to some extent. It's a very simple feature to turn on in DXL, and maybe we would just be in our chat and ask, like, send your wallets to this whatever email or chat or something, and we'll get you added to the whitelist. And that way we would know that it wouldn't be like sniped by a million bots right at the start. At the same time, a whitelist is pretty restrictive. It would be only temporarily. So it's not something we're honestly fully settled on. I personally am kind of wanting a whitelist, and some other people are thinking that a whitelist is not the greatest idea, especially for like demonstrating the initial buy pressure and things like that in the pre-sale itself. So I don't know. We're a little torn on whether or not to use a whitelist. I do believe it is a good mechanism for preventing bots from getting into the sale. So maybe it is something that we will ultimately decide to do.
Yeah, maybe open the whitelist up for the first hour and then kind of put it to public sale, because I think from the whitelist alone you could fill a lot of it. And then open up to the public sale. Otherwise, you run the risk of, I think, people with bots. And with the whitelist, they collect the details, like kind of the username and email address, so you can make sure it's a real person.
That's true.
Because otherwise, I mean, you can easily set a DXL bot to, I think you can even set it to 1,000 wallets if you want to. These advanced ones, and the individual wallets, there's no way of stopping that.
Okay, that's an excellent recommendation. It's something that we would definitely like to avoid, and we have a lot of mechanisms in place to prevent a lot of things, but that one is definitely tough to avoid without a whitelist. So maybe a whitelist will ultimately be what we need to do to prevent that. I don't think that we would hold it closed for maybe like an hour, but maybe something much smaller, like 10 minutes, just to allow everybody to get in, or maybe even a little longer than that. And I think that, if we did do that, maybe we would just make it so that, if you're in the Telegram, we would collect some information to confirm that you're real. And, ultimately we would take your wallet address and add you to the whitelist. And that way, I anticipate at least that no one's going to, be in there trying to send in 1,000 applications to us to get all 1,000 of the wallets whitelisted. So that would be definitely helpful and preventative of any major issues that would be caused by that. It's something I will take and discuss with the team for sure, and with the marketing team as well, because they're part of the decision-making process related to the launch. And I personally don't mind a whitelist. I don't think it's the end of the world. I think that it would probably fill a lot of the pre-sale, but not all of it. So there'll still be time for other people to get it. But I also know that some people are very much against it. They just feel like it's like a private sale, where you can just select who you want to be in or not. And yeah, I can understand why they would be concerned about that.
Yeah, a lot of those people have probably got cipher bots, so like, for the DX sales. So yeah, I think a whitelist is a really good feature, and everyone I speak to would, I think, agree with that. So I definitely consider it.
Yeah, since if we did do it, since it would be going up relatively late, or rather like information about it would be coming out relatively late, I think that if we did do it, it probably would be a relatively short one, probably around like 10 minutes is what I'm thinking. So
Yeah.
I'll discuss
Yeah.
with the team and see, because yeah, I definitely don't want, a massive amount of the total supply controlled by a single person that sniped so much of so many of the tokens at launch.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
That's the main thing, yeah. I think, with the DXL, the bots do sell a few hours after PancakeSwap launch. So it's only a short-term thing, sort of thing. But then other bots actually send to their owners, and they might be long-term holders of the project as well if it's got promise, which your project certainly has bucket loads of promise. So
I appreciate that. Yeah. I really think that, like, we've put an immense amount of time into it because we wanted to create what we are offering ahead of launch. So it was definitely a lot of work up until this point, but we really did that work in kind of an unpaid manner up until this point, mainly because we really do believe that it has such a massive amount of potential. Even with 10 or 20 vaults, which we could easily create manually, I think it will create a huge amount of traction with the platform, a huge amount of demand for the token. But I, in the long term, envision this decentralized onboarding process similar to DX sale, and then we could have hundreds or even thousands of vaults. And I think that at that point, that's when it'll really peak or really grow to, its full potential, so to speak.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. So, is there any more questions from investors, or anyone in your Twitch? Or we could finish the recording. I can send you a copy, and we can pin a copy.
Sounds good. No, it looks like we are good on questions. For sure. Yeah. Thank you guys for having me. Really appreciated it. Really appreciate all the professionalism here and the excellent questions.
Yeah, you too. Yeah, Napaji, yeah, it's very, very gold standard AMA we've had with you today. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and if anybody has any other questions, you could always DM me, or we host AMAs all the time. So just feel free to find me in one of those. And yeah, thank you guys so much for your time. I'm gonna go ahead and hop out of here. And yeah, hope you all have a good one.
That's great.
All right,
Thanks
take care
very much for your time. Yeah. Take care.
For sure.